I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired from my last job. Hot wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change. Ain't no harm about the things we do, or the trouble that we get into. Other than a wild hair once in a while, we can't help it, it's just our style. Good old boys, it's all we'll ever be.
What are we going to talk about?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Good morning, everybody. Welcome.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program.
Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash Brent with you here on a chilly Monday morning.
Welcome to Monday, first day of the week. Well, Sunday's actually the first day of the week, but first day
work
of the
day
work
for
day.
everybody but bankers today.
Yeah, it's President's Day. What it used to be, was it Abe Lincoln's birthday? Is that what
Washington.
it was?
I think it. I think it was
they
Abe
used to
Lincoln's
celebrate
birthday,
those
but I
two.
think it's basically to celebrate George Washington as the first.
But then when we
president,
picked
right?
up MLK Day, we had to get rid of a President's Day, right?
I think so.
Interesting. That was one of those, and I think the MLK birthday is a worthy birthday. Certainly a important historical figure in our country.
Why can't we have both?
It's just a DEI birthday, right? That's what it is.
No, that one wasn't.
Well, he
It
wasn't
preceded DEI
elected.
stuff.
He wasn't elected. And he was a pastor without a church. Didn't really like this Sunday.
You're going to use election as a reason to celebrate it.
How many other people have holidays named after him that weren't elected?
Jesus.
True story. Kind of a stretch, though. I mean, that's Christmas. That's different.
Labor Day. Nobody elected Mr. Labor.
Or the turkey. Okay, I stand corrected. I'm sorry that what I said may have appeared incorrect to you.
You don't need to apologize.
To quote Pastor Hurt. 39 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of only 57. The Wade and Carter weather always brought to you by the great folks at AT Deal and Feed. I was down there the other day, and I went to pick up, good morning, Mo. Now we just get Mo out of JP. It won't be long before we just get an M. Sup. Get a sup.
Good morning, Terry Murray checking in.
JP, I gave a listen to that Warren G. Morgan Wallen mixtape that you sent me. And Ash and I both agreed that was pretty cool. Now, he had a good one. And Ash, I think you should play a piece of that.
This is from Wax Audio.
I thought this was really cool.
Ago.
But while you're getting that ready,
right.
the great folks at AT Deal and Feed, I went down and picked up the 21-7-14 blend. Today is the day. You need to go in. It's American Plant Food. They know what it is. Say, I want the Wade and Carter proprietary blend, which it's neither. But it is a 21-7-14. It's perfect for our grass and our climate. You put it on your yard, you water it in, and I'm telling you.
What if you have a blend of like St. Augustine and
it's
Bermuda?
Fine. It works great. And what it's done for me, because I always liked a Bermuda yard, because Bermuda grass, if you fertilize it, put water on it, you can grow it on asphalt.
Well, you like it because you can putt on it. And
True.
Because then it's like the greens.
It's like having a golf
you
course.
play at. Yes.
I'd like to have Poana, but anyway. You with ice plant.
I want bent grass.
It's just way, way too hot here.
I want bent grass.
If I had
Kentucky blue,
I would like to have the fantasy of the real mower and a lawn, the front yard, which was a golf course.
You
green.
can buy a real mower.
Yeah, but the problem
Push
is
behind. You'd get your steps in too.
the problem is you've got to use it every day, or those plants don't perform properly. So it's a constant nightmare. But I noticed, and I did comment to Jackie Dearlam Parsons, that the store's way too clean. There's way too much of a woman's touch in there. That could be a song, way too much of a woman's touch. I was a poet and didn't know it. No dust, except I did find a little dust on the red funnels up on the top shelf.
They're not moving like they should.
Go in there. They're $1.
Yeah.
You owe it to yourself to go by today, buy a bag. It's a 25-pound bag, covers a huge lawn of the 21-7-14 blend. We put it down last evening. Now listen to this, folks. Can you get it? Can you make that happen? The Bee Gees meet AC/DC.
Classic
It
mashed up by
actually
Wax
works.
Audio.
It
does
works.
work, yeah.
It's like I would listen to that in the car at high volume.
There's Greg Garcia, Mark Kurtz, Scott Snow, podium winners this morning.
No doubt about it. Mark Kurtz, I'm hurting for Mark Kurtz. It's baseball season.
Yeah.
And this week, I have no doubt they'll either have a tournament or a game or at least a scrimmage. And supposedly, Ash, by Thursday, it's going to be 22 degrees.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
I just, whatever happened to being right about the weather? It just doesn't happen very often anymore. Remember, in fairness, it's going to be a way above average hurricane season. Now, you don't want to jinx anybody.
27 for the low on Wednesday night is what they're saying.
For how long? I mean, is it going to be like 35 by 9 o'clock the next morning?
Probably.
If that's the case, don't panic. Maybe drip a faucet on the north side of the house. The people that make a killing are the ones that make those little styrofoam deals you put over your faucets.
That don't work?
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it like this. You've got a 30-degree temperature on the outside of your wall, but the box that's holding all the wiring is at 72 degrees. The idea that you're going to get down below freezing for any sustainable length of time is just not going to happen. When was the last time one of your friends, anybody you've ever known, had a pipe burst in Victoria, Texas because of the weather? You had somebody do that in 2019? Give the commander a microphone over there.
Below freezing for about 5 hours.
Talk to
That's
me.
what they're saying.
2019, we had the big freeze.
It happened at your house?
Happened at my house.
Why didn't you drip your faucets?
I had the little thing on them.
Thought that
I had
was
the
good
pipe
enough.
dripping on the inside of the house, but we didn't have power for a number of days.
Right, that'll hurt.
That's when it got bad.
That hurt.
If
That
we
was
have
that
power,
grid.
Yeah, if
If
you
we
have
have
power,
power,
then
we're
your
fine,
well
yeah.
works, right? Yeah.
So if you don't have power, here it is, the selfless plug for Win Electric. If you don't have power, what you need, by the way, by the time it's all said and done, it would have been cheaper for you and a lot more convenient to have Win come out and give you turnkey generator service.
Backup generator. Yep.
That's right. You just sit there and take a hot shower, me.
With the
while-
lights on.
With the lights on. Absolutely. Mark Kurtz sent me a schedule.
David Glass checking in. Scott Tomko, Judge Posey. Good morning. Rena Scherer, Will Vincent. The Pool, Bobby Leister, Andrew Alvarez. Who else is in? Marvin Mickers. Good morning. Jordan Glass, Micah Patton.
There you go.
There's Junior and Linda. Happy anniversary. 23 years today.
Hey, congrats, guys. Just today, look here, February 20th through 22nd, industrial JV tournament, varsity tournament, Schulenburg. Oh, it's going to be cold.
Tammy Keeling, good morning. Terry Murray, Joel Gomez.
Tammy,
Katina
good morning.
Ardberry.
Good morning with your meeting today.
Sheriff Louderback, good
Hello,
morning.
Sheriff.
Buddy Stavanoa, Andy Schneider, good morning. Andy came to bingo, didn't win, but he'll be back, he said.
Good deal.
There you go. Junior says he had a pipe burst last month at the stock tank. But that's the stock tank.
That's the stock.
outside.
That
not at
doesn't
your
count.
house.
That's
It doesn't count.
PVC above ground. That's a nothing deal. That's some glue.
That's that hot blue.
Went by
Warm
yesterday,
purple
and,
stuff,
and
whatever.
as I told you I was going, I went by yesterday to the Rustic Ranch and checked in
Claire
on
Ramos.
I checked in on Clara Ramos, and I told her because she's feeling really good. She's undergoing some chemotherapy and stuff for leukemia that she's got in remission, but she's having to battle it away. She told me that what kept her going was trying to beat back Donald Trump. I said, well, then you should be fine. I told her.
At least for 4 years.
I said I was scanning. There were a lot of people there. It was very well attended. I said I was scanning the crowd, and she had a little mask on to, I think, just protect her. Her immunity is probably pretty low. She's one of those people who it makes sense to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And I told her I didn't recognize you with the mask on because there weren't flames coming out of your mouth. and then I felt guilty because she laughed and she coughed a little bit. And I said, I'm sorry to me. She goes, no, I need to laugh. But I gave her a hug, saw Jamie Alvarez, and really well attended, and an outpouring of love and appreciation for her. So I'm glad I went by.
Good.
I didn't get the plate. They served over 300 plates. So
Wow.
very, very well done. Good for her.
Trying to see what
There was a murder yesterday. Did you hear this?
no.
Yeah, I don't have any details. It's an ongoing investigation, but out towards Mission Valley, there was a murder, and somebody was shot multiple times, and the assailant is in custody.
Okay, that's
So
good news.
I don't know the details. Family matter. So,
Always seems to be, right?
yep.
So Russia hasn't made many advances in Ukraine. JD Vance, let's just start there because he's in Europe. He's
Loving JD
there
Vance.
there for some talks or to try to get peace talks going. But boy, oh boy, did he tear into Europe over the weekend in front of the EU. Maybe it was Friday because they probably don't work on the weekends because
No.
it's the EU. Let's
And
be
that's a
honest.
sure sign, a 100% sure sign that the United States sends a bunch of money
Yeah, and
to all those countries.
And a few brave souls at the EU. And this is just my conspiracy theory prediction of the week, and maybe the first of many this week, because it just seems like it's going to be one of those weeks with UFO stuff being released and all that fun
Oh,
stuff. But
goodness. Who killed Kennedy? Hi, Funky.
Monty Howard, good morning. But I have a feeling that those who were visibly applauding JD Vance, which there weren't many. There weren't many.
That was
They
a
might-
smattering of
They might
applause.
find themselves on the bad end of a misfortunate accident in the coming weeks.
Yeah. No, I agree. The EU is out of control. I did not know.
I mean, some of the things he talked about, Romania, supposedly democratic in Europe, no
Hey.
longer an Eastern Bloc country, right?
Extreme right-wing candidate won election. They just decided to annul the election.
Yeah. Blame to Russia and their influence peddling and spending on social media ads. And JD Vance said, if Russia can spend, whatever it spent on social media ads and force you to cancel your election or the results of your election, and you say it's because of democracy, you didn't have a very strong democracy.
That's exactly right.
And he's absolutely right. He said your democracy is already on shaky ground. Basically tore into almost every country in the EU on their lack of freedoms, particularly freedom of speech, and really got after the UK, both England and Scotland, for their treatment of folks. They arrested a guy. I think his name was Andrew Scott Connor, if I'm not mistaken. Was that right? Do you remember?
I think so.
I think so. Anyway, he was praying silently by a abortion chamber. Let's call it that. That's more what it is. It's not a clinic.
Right?
They're mass murdering babies there, so we'll just call it what it is. And
he was standing 50 meters, 150 feet, like from here to Torn Bale's office.
Yep.
Standing 50 meters away, silently, had his head bowed, eyes closed. He's a former military vet. I mean, he's not a former. He's a veteran of the UK's military. Standing silently in prayer. Police confronted him, said, "What are you doing?" He said, I'm praying." And he wasn't demonstrative. He wasn't praying out loud. He wasn't obstructing anybody's transport.
And he was praying for the son that he and a girlfriend years ago aborted.
Yes.
They arrested him for praying
within 200 meters
of an abortion chamber. And as a result, had to go to court.
Thousands
got fined,
of dollars.
had to pay thousands of pounds, which is thousands of dollars in legal costs.
Thousands and a half.
Cover the prosecution's costs for their prosecution of
with
him
the idiot with the wig
guilty.
on yelling at him for praying silently in
And then-
public.
Scotland told people, if you live within 250 meters, if your house is within,
you can no longer pray,
can't
in,
pray
your
in your home
about
against
that issue.
against abortion.
You and your family can't gather up and pray silently. You're prohibited. Now you can't enforce that, but the idea that the government is telling you when, where, and what you can pray about. And folks, don't think that we weren't on the slippery slope to that. Don't think for a minute that if Kamala Harris had gotten elected, that we wouldn't be in the same boat.
Or even talk about guy in Sweden would burn the Koran and got arrested for agitating an ethnic group.
Yes, you agitated an ethnic. We do that every day here. Agitate an ethnic group. We make fun of white people every day.
We agitate them all the time.
Absolutely.
Right, Tammy?
Right? Oh, yeah.
Kidding. Money Howard says Orwell's cautions were spot on. Stephanie Conti checking in. Ricky King, good morning. Yeah, it was Andrew Alvarez says he was there for Claire, won an auction.
Yeah, he said he won an auction.
But crazy
do you
stuff.
win an auction item when you outbid
Everybody's
everybody?
a winner for something like that.
Folks, real quick, USA Concrete Coating. Charlie Garcia and his team would love to come down and help you sand it, seal it, stain it, paint it. If you want new concrete and while you build a new home, right then, before you put the lawnmower in there, before the oil drips out of Mama's Suburban, put down the toughest nails polyurethane coat that won't crack, stick, peel, or fade. You can roll it into your mortgage. It'll cost you $9 million over 30 years, but you're only going to live there 5 anyway, so who cares? Veracruz Restaurant. Veracruz with the best Mexican food in town, period, full stop. Get in. You know, I talked to Lee and Ida the other day, and they said that surprisingly, in-restaurant sales have not fully rebounded since COVID. They're not doing the same volume in people traffic that they did prior to 2020. That's a shame. Get back out. Get out. Take off the mask. Smoke cigarettes. Get into Veracruz today. The Dollar Floor Store.
The Floor Trader, they're yours. They're there for you. They're blowing everything out right now because they got some new inventory coming in.
Think about it. When all you sell is flooring, you better be good at it. Just stop and think. You can go to the box store and buy it. Dollar Floor Store has what you need. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen's your go-to tow-to. Allen, Little Allen, Janet. Not sure Janet's going to be on a big rig, but they have huge.
No, but she makes it all work.
It's like being a kid. If you like going and seeing fire trucks, you ever been in a cockpit, Jimmy? Going out to Allen's and let them show you around, show you the trucks that they have out there. It's impressive. Paravita Wellness, as Cody pointed out last week, the new Vita Cafe. The sign is up.
Closer.
Things are going closer than we've ever been to having a second location of Paravita Wellness. Get in and get healthy.
Absolutely.
Man, we've gotten pretty good at those ads.
We have gotten.
We just need maybe a couple more sponsors. You want some of it? Get in here and get some.
So did you, well, I guess since we talked to Ukraine, let's talk EU. We'll talk. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, going to meet with Russian officials
I have
today.
no idea what you just said. I mean, you, in your mind,
my mind was working
ahead.
way faster than anything else.
I live in that zone, but I was like, let's just walk that back. Let's circle back to that, Jen.
I was going to go to something else, but then since we talked about JD Vance,
you try to create a segue. Segues just happen.
Yeah, it was there in my head. Trust me.
No, I'm with you.
But Secretary of State Marco Rubio is going to meet with Russian counterpart today in Saudi Arabia to begin the peace talks.
Where do you folks stand on this idea? Ukraine, President Zelensky, the diminutive one, saying we will not accept any peace brokered by the United States. They don't speak for us. We're a sovereign nation. Well, you know what? When 90% of your military budget comes out of my tax dollars, you better listen to the way we feel about the war. I'm sorry if you feel bullied and belittled about your sovereignty, but it wouldn't exist if it wasn't for us. You would have no sovereignty. You would have no bullets. You would have no ordnance. So when the United States says, and Zelensky got his panties in a wad because Donald Trump picked up the phone and called Vlad Putin before he called Zelensky. He should have called me first. Well, look, Tom Cruise, you're on Mission Impossible without us. He called Vlad and said, is there any hope here? And apparently Putin said yes. I think the little man needs to stand down.
It's no secret. Trump has said from day one he wants to end that war. So who do you call to end the war? The guy who started the war or the guy who's defending himself? Because if the guy that was defending himself had the ability to stop the war, we wouldn't be in a war.
Yeah, no doubt. I saw one the other day from this leftist.
But the victimhood of Zelensky continues.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't been invited to participate yet.
Well, what are you going to participate in? I mean, fine. So you want all the say in how this goes? Fine. Then you take all the responsibility. Well, that's it. We've made our last shipment. We support what you're doing, but you don't get to go on the world stage and all of a sudden be the big hero when you don't have any stroke. You haven't done anything. Greg Garcia, Zelensky's not in a position to dictate terms, and he needs to pay back the money we gave him. What's funny is, Greg, some of it also is the fact that I'm sure we've given him enough cash that he and his family forever will never have to work again. But
he never had to work anyway. He's an actor.
It wasn't really about money.
Kidding.
You see, we gave them bullets, and then we gave cost plus 30% money to the bullet manufacturers to replenish our stores. It's like you come to my house and you borrow an AR-15, and then I go buy that AR-15 cost me $500 10 years ago. And I go buy a new $1,200 AR-15, and Armalite pats me on the back and says, thanks a bunch.
Yeah.
Thanks a bunch. And that's what's really happening here. The United States, some people justified it by saying, well, we're getting rid of old ammo. It was getting dated. Interesting.
Yeah, listen to the New York Times this morning. President Trump has spent the first few weeks of his second term bulldozing through the federal bureaucracy.
I love it.
He says the government and its rules are inefficient and during his first term got in the way of executing his agenda. Democrats may not approve of Trump's targets, foreign aid and consumer protection agencies, or the potential constitutional crisis he initiated.
Yeah, they're saying that some of these things were initiated by Congress, and therefore it takes Congress to get rid of them. That's fine. He does have Congress. Now, you watch, the Democrats are going to shut down the Senate. You watch. They're so pouty.
We're going to get to that. But he's saying Democrats are envious. Some Democrats are envious at the speed of which Trump is cutting through the red tape because Joe Biden blamed his administration being too slow to roll out his infrastructure laws. Remember?
Yes. Yeah.
Barack Obama promised a bunch of shovel-ready products. They never got made.
Right there.
The media.
Obama patting himself on the back. Go back one click. He says historians will talk about how great the impact was, but it didn't have any immediate impact on people's lives. Trump is having immediate impact. And this is all part of, do yourself a favor, Google up zero-based budgeting. All you do, and the model that Elon Musk has used in all of his businesses, is to scale back and then add back. I'm going to fire everybody at the IRS. Man, it's Monday. Well, we need a receptionist. Hire her back. We need a couple of auditors. Hire. Well,
which industry has always done this? Oil and gas.
Absolutely.
And every company's biggest expense is the HR
And the
labor
industry
and
that's
workers.
always just added more people is the government. Somebody made a suggestion the other day that when the jobs report comes out, the jobs report should not include government workers, anybody but government workers, because they said that Joe Biden, if he needed higher numbers, they would just hire people for the government.
I think the ADP one does that, right?
That's what I would want.
Payroll processors. I think they just look at private payrolls and not
Just the
that.
real skinny. That's what we need.
Here's the benefit. Housing and urban development. Doge found $1.9 billion in HUD money last week, money that was misplaced during the Biden administration. It was money that was, quote, earmarked for the administration of financial services. What the hell does that even mean? And apparently, according to the new HUD secretary, Scott Turner, that $1.9 billion wasn't even needed. They don't need that money going forward.
Gave it back to the government. By the way, Scott Turner, black guy, not a DEI hire, earned his stripes in Trump's first administration. Extremely articulate, extremely sharp young man. When you listen to him speak, I'm just like, wow, this guy's smart.
Ben Carson had this position, I think, in his first cabinet, right?
Correct, but
And Ben Carson
super
loves
smart.
Scott Turner.
But Scott Turner was talking about, the housing crisis in our country, the lack of affordable homes in our country. And I was like, man, this guy's impressive. I was impressed.
That's the red tape and bureaucracy that most cities have put in place to control building. It's interesting because there's a housing crisis in major cities in Canada with the cost going up. All the cities have since cut all the red tape they put in place 20, 25 years ago that has led to this. And now all of a sudden, housing is available and the prices are starting to come down. Imagine that.
But let's look at the facts versus the hyperbole. You've got Scott Turner's a black guy. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., about as Democrat a name as you could ever get, and certainly not a Republican. You got Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democrat who now doesn't necessarily align with any party.
She's an independent.
You got Kristi Noem, who's just hot. I don't care. She's a Republican. She's hot. She's from South Dakota, right there on the Canadian border. Right above North Dakota.
Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, Cuban and American.
Cuban guy who also ran against Trump, was an opponent of Trump. And yet, oh, by the way, he's anti-Semitic, but apparently somehow he's helping Netanyahu, ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip. But he hates the Jews.
Who, Rubio or Trump? Or both?
No, Trump. Supposedly he's anti-Semitic. The realities that you see in front of you, he doesn't like strong women. Tulsi Gabbard's a soldier.
Kristi Noem is a strong woman.
She's just hot. He's got the hottest, and Pam Bondi, hot. What's his deal? Do you think he's being sexist by hiring all
No,
these?
but that claim's coming.
Oh, yeah, he's sexist. He's grabbing everyone in his cabinet meetings.
27-year-old, kind of hot press secretary.
Yeah, who's married or dating a guy like my age.
And she's very good at her job. That's
Wow.
the crazy thing. He's putting people in place that are very good at their job. Secondary to that, they're attractive people. But that'll get looked over by the Democrats who will accuse. You watch. It'll come when all that he's doing starts benefiting the American people and more Americans wake up and realize.
You think they're going to go, man, this ain't so bad. Look here.
No, but they're going to start going, oh, he's a misogynist. This is where I was getting to.
Yes.
Scott Turner, this is the effects of the Doge and what should have been happening all along.
Right.
Scott Turner now says, you know what? Housing and urban development, we're going to launch our own task force to review how we as an agency are spending taxpayer money. There's the problem with government. Government officials think it's their money. They forget where it comes from. And HUD employees will be the ones to lead that task force.
How about that, though? It seems like a perfect common sense reaction, right? Instead of fighting, instead of trying to build a wall like the IRS, you can't come in here. You can't find people's social security numbers, as if they're not all out there anyway. I wish somebody would steal my identity and start paying my credit card bills.
Linda Chris says the world's close to worldwide communism. It was, Linda. It was probably closer than we've ever been under Joe Biden, seriously, because you look at the idiot in Canada that was there till he quit after Trump got in and he realized he couldn't hang.
Yeah.
So he ran away screaming like a little kid, took his ball and went home.
Yeah.
You look at what happened and no closer show, at least to if not pure out communism, complete government control. What happened with the truckers up there, what happened with COVID and the shutdowns across the world. That's where we were. You're very, if not close to communism, at least close to authoritarianism.
The thing that upsets me the most about the left is the smugness of, oh, we're just so much more enlightened than you. You people are buying the big lie from Orange Man. I'm like, no, I'm looking at the results. When you find 1.9 billion sitting in a Contra account at Housing and Urban Development, many administrations would say, you got to spend it or you're going to lose it. Scott Turner self-reports, hey, Mr. President, we found 1.9 billion. Here you go. These are the smart people that are policing themselves before Elon gets there.
Throw it on the deficit. Throw it on our debt. Throw it on our $35 trillion debt. I know it won't make a difference, but it's a start. And it'll be symbolic to the rest of the world and to other administrations going forward. That should be the goal of the whole Doge. All the money they find, pay down the debt.
Did you already read that?
No, I did not.
HUD will be detailed and deliberate about every dollar spent to serve rural, tribal, and urban communities.
It's got to be racist in its intent.
No, he's a black guy. He can say that. And he once went to a synagogue. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, we are no longer in a business as usual posture. And the Doge Task
Business
Force...
as usual for 7 decades?
Yes. The Doge Task Force will play a critical role in helping to identify and eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, and ultimately better serve the American people. Genius. That's genius stuff. And you say, I don't care what party you voted for. I don't care about your feelings or which president you wish would have won. Shouldn't every administration do this? Shouldn't everybody say, let's be more lean?
$50 million in a grant to an organization at the EPA. Thanks to Doge, we're finding this stuff out, that believes climate justice travels through a free Palestine. $50 million
for
that Joe Biden gave to an organization. Lee Zeldin, the new EPA administrator, found this. It was called the Climate Justice Alliance.
I'd tell you what else I'd do. I'd shut the EPA in a heartbeat. Mothball that.
I think they could do some good. I mean, let's be honest. Without the EPA, I think the Great Lakes are still burning when it rains.
Without the EPA, Cher wouldn't have an Oscar. You can bet on that. What was that? Deadwood, Silkwood?
Yeah, Silkwood, I think.
Morningwood. I don't know what that show was called.
EPA sent $160 million to a Canadian electric bus manufacturer. Oh, the $400 million that everybody's saying that Tesla and Elon Musk was getting thanks to Donald Trump. Yeah, that was a Biden era contract for armored cyber trucks.
Timing doesn't matter, because if it sounds like something Trump would do, you have to blame Trump for it. You have to get your politics right. Tell me about...
And the $160 million for the electric buses that were supposed to go to 55 school districts. Why is the federal government spending $160 million on 55 school districts?
Be better to give it to the teachers and tell the kids to get there any way they can.
But $95 million worth of the school buses still haven't been bought or still haven't been provided. We gave them the money? Lee Zeldin asked a very simple question. Why weren't we just paying for the buses as they were being produced? Instead, we gave them all the money. And we're still waiting on $95 million worth of the school buses. You know what's going to happen to those things? Nothing. They'll never show up.
True story. Tell me what you know about
and Americans
Catholic charities,
because they're finding this stuff.
Did you read this about Catholic charities? Did you see anything on that at all? because I don't want to misspeak. I'm almost positive the number, maybe Peter McNally knows. And here's what's funny. We talk about so much money these days. 400 billion just sounds way too high. I'm thinking the number may be 400 million, but it was 400 something with a bunch of zeros, and I'm not exaggerating. Went from the federal government to Catholic charities to help Catholic charities house illegal immigrants. So while the Catholics are patting themselves on the chest that look what we're doing in the name of Jesus,
Aiding and abetting criminals.
they're aiding and abetting criminals with your tax dollars. That's how that went down. And that was uncovered in the Doge. Very interesting. 400 million. Peter McNally says this whole thing is just a big dog and pony show. It won't be enough to make a big dent. While that may be true, Peter, and it very well may be true, at the end of the day, it may not make a difference. Shouldn't it be done? Shouldn't it have been done? And I do disagree. When you're finding it a billion at a time, it makes a difference. And if it gets rid of a bunch of that dead weight liberal garbage people that are working at the federal government, load them up, send them home. We live in Texas. We don't play that game. No. Did you know?
Federal government is spending $2 trillion more per year since COVID, per year, than we did prior to COVID. I think we're up to, under the Biden administration, like $7.5 trillion. $5 trillion seems way too much to be spending.
Governor Maura Healey from Massachusetts. Now, she can't be a Republican. There's no way.
No.
She says the government is going to get $2.1 billion back because pandemic funds were used to pay unemployment. We have a call. Let's see.
Mistakenly
somebody trying to see what they're calling for. Let's see who this is. Good morning, Wade and Carter. You're live. Hang on.
It's
okay. Who is it?
This is Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen.
You were asking about Catholic Charities.
Yes, ma'am. Tell us what you know.
Catholic Charities is no. I'm sorry. I was born and raised a Catholic, still practice today, but in my book, it is no longer Catholic or charitable. When you bring an organization in to break the laws and exempt them from the repercussions of breaking the laws to settle, and that's what they're doing is they're using the money to settle these illegal invaders that don't have a right to be here. I listened at Mass yesterday to a sermon telling us about how we need to take these people in who are fearful. What about the Americans who are fearful for
Amen.
Their lives because of all these yahoos that are brought in, and we don't have a right to protest it? I will tell you that I did speak a while back because Catholic Charities is participating in promoting these cartels that are sex trafficking and slave trafficking these people into our country. And when I asked my Bishop Cahill about it, he referred me to the bishop out of, I believe it was out of Laredo. Well, I'm sorry, but he's my bishop. And I asked the question as to who is it that Catholic Charities, their board answers to. And I received the answer that I thought was correct, that they have, at the end of the day, they answer to the Catholic bishops, the USCCB. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but the USCCB is the Catholic bishops in the United States. And that organization, the USCCB, or UCCB, U.S. Catholic Conference of Bishops.
Yes, ma'am.
Was actually originally organized by the Democratic Party.
There you go, Kathleen. Thank
you
for the
very
call.
much. Appreciate
the
that.
idea.
Yeah.
Here's what gets me.
You want to know, in my opinion, what will lead to the revocation of the tax exempt status and nonprofit status
Catholicism.
for churches. It'll be what's going on with Catholic Charities and the Catholic Church.
Absolutely. You can't get all this money for free, do a bunch with it, and build beautiful buildings and then not actually be doing what you're supposed to do. What's interesting to me is Catholicism, predominant religion in Guatemala. Catholicism, predominant religion in Venezuela. Send those people home. There's Catholics down there.
Why aren't the Catholic Charities working down there?
Yeah, use the 400 million or 400 billion, whatever the crazy number was, and put those people on a plane. Go home, spread Catholicism.
How many houses could 400 billion build in Guatemala? How many jobs could 400 billion create in Guatemala so people don't have to leave the squalor they're living in because the leaders of those countries have, this is what nobody wants to talk about. And this is what the Doge is going to uncover.
I mean, if nobody wants to talk about it, should we?
Yes.
Okay.
It's worldwide. It's worldwide. The corruption that is going on, that the Doge is just at the tip of the iceberg. We're going to find out has been paid for by the U.S. governments, a.k.a. U.S. taxpayers. If the Doge is allowed to continue what it's doing, we are going to find out exactly where all the money went. Nobody's up in arms that Hamas has taken billions, tens of billions that we know about, probably hundreds of billions, in foreign aid from Western countries.
No doubt.
Built palaces in Syria, living in penthouses.
The U.S. has paid them
Paris. Yeah, everybody has.
Lisa Poole asked, who was the caller? That was Kathleen Leiniger. She lives out in San Mateo, California. Great listener, great friend of the program. Peter McNally, of course, the caller, is way off base. Okay.
The corruption that goes on in these third world countries, and it will astound the Democrats. They'll be shocked. Oh, we had no idea. The money that has gone to these third world countries, from mostly the U.S., Canada, a few other European countries, it will astound you when we find out how much has actually been siphoned off and where it's all gone. Because all you have to do is look. Go visit some of these countries. They're making a buck off their ecotourism in the Amazon. They're making bucks off of.
They have to cut down a bunch of trees and build a highway
exactly.
to get there.
Well, that's for the illegals to get here.
Tammy Keeling's correct. Careful. Remember the Shah of Iran. You know, the idea there is, and you can go through all of them, Chavez, Fidel Castro, they may be ruthless dictators. And the truth is, America looked at those countries as being backwards, which they were. And the U.S. was like, we're so much better than you. But the idea was, I'm going to buy my dictator. He's my dictator.
Except Iran, if you know the history, was not backwards. It just had oil.
Right.
And
Shah had the plates to print his own $100 bills.
Well, before that, they were a democratic nation.
Now you've got to be a Crip to have that.
I mean, Iran back, when was this? The 20s, 30s, when they installed the Shah, his family. They removed a democratically elected leader, all because they wanted access to the oil. And it wasn't just America. Teddy Roosevelt played a role in this, by the way.
Yeah. And
the British
founded Yellowstone National Park, so everything else is forgiven.
Yeah, it's a wash, yeah.
It's a wash.
We're going to find the national parks, but we're going to go install our leaders in countries to get oil. And British Petroleum BP and the UK was very much played a role in this. It was the U.S. and Britain that
Tammy Keeling coming in with the History Minute. Yeah. It's a little known fact. The Shah actually invented school vouchers. Folks, chopping block, get in this week. Dawn the other day, I don't know.
What's the special today? Do we know?
I don't know what today's special is, but I can tell you that, when you go in and they have something on sale, Dawn, I mean,
loads up.
Oh my goodness. She came home the other day with 4 pounds of chicken wings. Now they're pre-marinated, threw them in the air fryer, and they were phenomenal. I mean, easy. 20 minutes, boom, boom, done. Good deal. Brand us, Commander Cody's over there. Cody, say hi. You got a hot mic. We lied. Okay. Say it again.
How y'all doing out there today?
There you go, Radio Land. Okay, mute him again.
Here we go. Well, because
wow.
not before he says anything. I don't need another loogie coughed up on the
he
air.
does.
Like
He's very open with his bodily functions.
Rosewood Ranches, Texas raised Wagyu beef and Snake River Farms Wagyu briskets are available for this week at the chopping blocks.
$110 a pound. Get in and get all you can. They've got financing available.
It's looking pretty good.
Man, the meat is incredible. They had some Denver Wagyu steaks, and they were just amazing.
Well, it's cook-off season, right? I think the Cuero cook-off's going on. There's a Cuero cook-off going on this weekend. So, yeah, you want to get your Houston Livestock Show and rodeo orders in as well, since that's fast approaching. So there you go.
Amen. Atzenhover and Atzenhover.com. Atzenhover inviting you to see the USA in a Chevrolet. Come on down. They're stacking them deep, selling them cheap, selling cars like candy bars. Flags are flying. People are buying. They're just down the road from higher prices there on the Navarro Motor Mile. Go see Atzenhofer for a cliche-free experience. White Trash Services. You live in the counties, any county, Las Vegas, Nevada. Little known fact, Germany, the size of Nevada, has 80 million people. So it's twice as big as Canada. All of them are jammed into Nevada.
Yeah.
And we could whip their ass in about a day and a half. Never forget it, folks. What's the use of being the big dog if you can't bite somebody? White Trash Services helping you have a trash-tastic day. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Get in there. Have a good time. Donate to various charities with your money. Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love, make your house a home. Get in and see why you just always do better at Chesnick.
Yeah, you want a good book about what happened in Iran back in the day. Go read All the Shah's Men.
All the Shaw's Men.
Yep.
You're avoiding something today. You're avoiding a topic that needs to be discussed.
No, I'm not.
Oh, yeah, you are.
No,
I hate it. It's news.
I was going to get to the hockey.
You've got to hit it. You've got to hit it head on. USA, USA, USA. The United States dropped the hammer on the Canadians.
See, those were an uneducated hockey fan.
The 51st state.
There's where, yeah. The Babylon Bee had a really good headline on Sunday.
What'd they say?
Canadian fans boo their future national anthem.
Right. That's so funny. It's so funny. What's so great about hockey is like, let's just leave it all on the ice. Let's settle it on the ice.
9 seconds in, 3 fights. As much as Gary Bettman probably crapped his drawers watching the start of that game because he's tried to get fighting out of hockey.
Fighting is hockey. If I told anybody, if we were on Family Feud, name things that are synonymous with hockey. Icing, crossing the blue line.
They wouldn't come up with any
survey
of that.
says fighting.
Yeah,
fighting.
Survey would be the number one, or fighting would be the number one answer.
Yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Canada,
3-1.
no, great hockey game. And this is what I really loved about it, because right now the NHL would be on their All-Star break, and I can't stand All-Star games.
Instead, guys are in the infirmary.
Yeah, NBA All-Star game was this weekend. Who cares? Nobody cares anymore.
Was it played?
Apparently, and it just
literally nobody cares.
My friends that watch that because there's nothing else on right now. After watching
it's on national TV up there.
The Four Nations face off, it was like they're like, yeah, this is garbage.
Oh, and they do that dumb skills challenge. Like those guys are like they're like hit this, hit that. Now it is impressive when you put like 5 plates inside the goal, and the guy hits the top right plate, the top left plate, the middle plate, and the 2 bottom plates, and I'm like, wow. Yeah. I mean, I just always thought they hit it towards that net. No way, man. It's like bend it like Beckham. No kidding. Those guys have skills.
Yeah, they're in it. But 3-1 game. It was really 2-1. The U.S. scored an empty netter after Canada pulled the goalie to try to.
They should have pulled their goalie. They got beat 3-1.
That's what you do.
3-1. Game was already over.
Good hockey game. Canada needs to beat Finland today to get to the finals. The U.S. with that win in regulation time ended up winning or clinching a spot in the championship game.
So in theory, Canada beats Finland, and then has a rematch with you. Will there be another tussle?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was all orchestrated, right? Because nothing occurred in the first 9 seconds of the game to cause a fight.
No, it's basically right off the face-off.
Let's just get it. Let's get it over with.
I say it wasn't orchestrated. I'll credit Emily Kaplan, and I'm not a big fan of these in-game interviews, but she asked a good question. She asked Canadian coach John Cooper if he saw that coming, and he had a smirk on his face. Said no, had no idea.
Had no idea that was going to happen.
But that's probably why when I looked
going nuts.
When I looked at who was on the ice at that time, it was
a bunch of enforcers.
Wow, as much as you can enforce at this level, because there's no true enforcers playing in this tournament.
You got to wonder if there were fights in the stands.
Yeah, you got a backwards, Junior. I went to a hockey match and a boxing fight broke out. But anyway, good hockey game. Probably one of the best games I've seen in a long time, especially this time of year, because the All-Star game is just a joke and has been for way too long. I don't even watch it.
Right.
And so we'll see what happens. USA will play Sweden tonight as well. It doesn't really, all it does is, Sweden, depending on what happens, because Canada beat them in overtime. But anyway,
I'm not going to dwell on school vouchers, but Tammy makes a good point. I have to just bear with me on this one, because I've gotten all your messages. You're tired of talking about school vouchers, but it is a solid point to suggest that if there's a problem with public funds for private business. So I want to ask y'all, do you have a problem?
Let's get rid of all subsidies for any private business.
Do you have a problem, except farming? Do you have a problem with education service centers? Like we are in Region 3. They operate as a private corp. They get their money in part from the state and in part from the services they sell to school districts. Does it irk you that whatever money they get at any level at one point was in your pocket or taken from the possibility of being in your pocket, and that they own property on Leary Lane that's available for sale and currently for rent? They own the Spring Creek Event Center, currently for sale and available for rent. And they own now the Pioneer Complex,
which is off the tax rolls.
Which is all off the tax rolls. Does that irk you that all of that property is off our tax rolls, paid for with your tax dollars in one way, directly or indirectly? No getting around it. I'm not judging their mission. I'm not judging their efficacy. I'm saying that several years ago, we started challenging them to operate it as a business, and they got good at it with your money. Very interesting to me. It's something I'd like for the Doge to look into.
Here's the flip side, though. If our education system was producing better outcomes,
nobody cared.
The voucher talk wouldn't even be talked about. We wouldn't be talking about trying to find other ways to do this stuff. That's where we are.
Cody wants to know what you know about UFOs. He just held up a sign that said UFOs, I'm assuming, with a question mark.
Well, one UFO expert, this is according to the New York Post, love them, quickly became probably the most reputable news source in the world after exposing China and COVID.
Newsbreak?
Yeah. No. The New York Post.
The New York Post. Yeah, we used to just be kind of a lampoon. They couldn't compete with the New York Times, and then all of a sudden they did.
And then they still can't compete with pay, but a lot of their good reporters have gone on to better paying jobs at other more traditional media.
Says here an expert on UFOs. Is there such a thing? If there's not really any UFOs, how can you be an expert on them?
You're self-acclaimed,
right? An expert on cancer cure. Well, if there's no cure, how are you the expert? An expert on UFOs says President Donald Trump's move to declassify decades-old government files on UFOs could reveal a potential cover-up and expose many federal secrets.
Yeah, this is just great. This is great tabloid journalism.
Oh,
here.
absolutely.
In the classic style of the New York Post. Coulds, mights.
It's titillating, right? It draws you in.
It pulls you in. I mean,
the government for decades has investigated UFOs. I think it's undeniable that the government has looked at this for decades.
You just said that, buddy.
They've had multiple programs, said former UK Defense Ministry official and UFO expert Nick Pope.
That's why he's the Pope.
He's the Pope
He calls
of
himself
UFOs.
the Pope of UFOs.
A lot of people believe that there is a smoking gun somewhere in those files.
Area 51.
It's a very widely held belief that elements in the U.S. intelligence community know that some of this extraterrestrial activity is real and have documents and files relating to this. And that, of course, is what everyone really wants to know. That's the $64,000 question.
Yeah.
You're a nut, dude. You're a nut.
He kind of looks like Fred Flintstone's Uncle Giggles.
Yeah, I can't say that there's not UFOs. I don't understand why we always assume that they're smarter than us and that they've just shown up and that they're always big
Well, if they,
and more powerful.
or at least have big heads and big eyes. But
Right.
I'll be honest, if they do show up, if they have the ability to do what people have said they've done, come into our atmosphere without burning up and leave, they're smarter than us. If they have the ability to tractor beam people on light up into spaceships for UFO abductions and then put them back with nothing but maybe a missing kidney and
Right, just they did some study.
yes, holes in their body that are unexplained,
Has that happened?
supposedly, then they're smarter than us.
What about all the lizard people? Remember that? That was a big deal.
Are we done everybody?
We've done
All
everybody.
right, good. Good to know. Because there was something else that we needed to get to before the end of the show as well. What was it that was on my list of things? UFOs.
Hockey
We
game.
got the hockey half minute. We got
Sure, you got
Vance
that right.
ripping the-
I'll tell you what we did. The hockey half
money.
minute was brought to you by the great folks at First State Bank of Louise. Get by and see Lolly. She's branch manager now.
She's so good at what she
We-
does. She's so nice.
We got her bounced up the ladder there.
Yeah.
You know, get in and see First State Bank of Louise for all your lending needs. By the way, free checking, free savings. Get in and see them. Fact check. Cody says he wants to. We could always talk about his raise. Double your pay right now. Consider it done.
Done. Approved
Right now, I want to play
by
that.
our Doge.
I want to play that Billy Preston song. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
You think there's any coincidence that a guy that faked his own death to avoid being captured in Mexico, a drug kingpin that's wanted by Europe, just happened to get gunned down by Mexican City police last week?
And second question, do you have any problem with that?
Not at all.
No. Bye. Yeah.
Not
No
at all.
problem.
He's evaded arrest for years. You don't think that Donald Trump's pressure on Mexico to clean things up had anything to do with this guy getting gunned down?
100%.
So
You know-
brazen that he posts on social media.
He's got two AR-15s and he's got a big old 45 on his hip.
Medallion of Jesus on his chest.
Is that Jesus?
I think so, probably. Or what's his name from Scarface? Al
Nice.
Pacino.
Al Pacino, Al Pacino, Al Pacino. Yeah, there he was, just laying down between
Looks
two
like in a
SUVs.
parkade.
He might have had that coming.
Looked like an Amish dude. That's how he got caught. in
Well, he was
Mexico.
building
Yeah.
furniture and then decided to get into drugs.
Yeah, he was hit with a 7-year prison sentence for smuggling 400 kilograms of cocaine inside of containers filled with pineapples, but somehow managed to take off. He was trafficking drugs from Brazil and Central and South America through Mexico into the Netherlands, which means it all came up through the U.S. and then went over there.
Right.
And reportedly been living in Mexico, but they killed him.
I'm proud of the Mexicans. Good for them.
Yeah, ties to the Sinaloa cartel. Absolutely. Here's the one I was talking. Gavin Newsom
Nice guy.
says he'll veto a bill that will prevent the California state prison system from working with immigration and customs enforcement. So state legislators in California have said we need a bill so that we can allow our prison systems to work with ICE.
Send those people home.
Governor Commie Newsom,
He's protecting those illegal aliens who happen to be in his jails.
why?
Because
They benefit because they get
Money?
increased state representatives based on illegal census numbers, in my opinion, and they get money from the federal government. And Catholic Charities is doing a ton of work in the San Diego, Tijuana area. I wonder how much of that money is going back to Governor Newsom. Just a question I asked.
well, he's Nancy Pelosi's nephew.
Yeah,
So bizarre when you think about the incestuous line there.
yeah. Junior says if the Mexican government could just wipe out the cartels, they can't. They're so embedded and emboldened by the Mexican government. Scheinbaum would be dead if she went after the cartels.
Yep.
Probably by one of her own protection people.
Yep, I agree.
Anybody else watch the SNL 50th anniversary yesterday? Lots of hits, a few misses along the way. I thought the opening was kind of good with a roast, kind of Steve Martin being roasting and then being roasted. But I will say this: outside of the two guys, Michael Che and Colin, I can't remember his last name, the Do Weekend Update, the new cast is just not funny.
They're not funny. They're hard leftists. Yeah,
But it was a nice tribute. Adam Sandler sang a song about the 50 years and got a standing ovation from the crowd. That might have been
Adam
one of
Sandler's
the best moments. But I think they didn't do enough to pay tribute to some of the greats that came along.
Yep.
I think they could have aired more classic skits that everybody loves. But it was
Steve
pretty
Martin, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd.
Bill Murray was pretty funny, ranking the top 10 news anchors of all time on Weekend Update.
Rosanna Dana.
He had Norm Macdonald as number 2.
Awesome. Hey, top of the hour.
Yeah, we're
It's
there.
Monday.
Holy crow. Look at that.
Go win the week. Tune in tomorrow. We'll try to be more high energy. We love you, folks, and hope you have a great day. Bye, folks.